20-somethings who are either married or in committed relationships who say their unions are more secure and more honest because they don't believe in monogamy.
I just took off my clothes and I had to do it.
We're talking about swinging, or as it's known now, living in the lifestyle.
We're gonna have to get you some punani.
Technically, an orgy requires a minimum of 6 participants.
What about my three-way?
This is a new generation of swingers.
Waves of it coming at you on Friday, Saturday. By Sunday, your nuts gonna be drained.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 10 of Swingin' Around, the sex positive podcast about swinging and sex. I'm Cal.
I'm JB. So today we've got kind of an interesting episode for you. Our usual lifestyle chat's going to kind of be about the same topic as our episode. We've got a little bit of an announcement for you listeners out there, if you care. I am pregnant.
Indeed.
So Cal over here, he's got the magic sperm and he knocked me up.
Shot my load in there, did its job.
Indeed it did. I like it when you shoot your load in me too. Like I don't know how other women feel out there about this, but I find it incredibly sexy. I like to watch porn with cum shots.
You like the cream pies?
I like the cream pies. I do. I don't know. It must be evolutionary because there's something about a guy just, coming inside a woman. I like it. Even in the ass. I kind of like that too.
You like the cream pies in the ass?
I do, yeah. I mean, I prefer it in the puss, but I like it in the ass also.
You usually don't like it when we, to finish in there.
Yeah, and it's a practical reason. It's not because it doesn't feel good. It's because you go deep. You've got a decent sized cock, and when you come, it shoots it even further in there. And then it takes like a solid day, I feel like, for it to all come out. So
yeah, you never see that in porn. I mean, you never see the after effects of.
They do show you the women squeezing it out a lot of times in porn. Like that's in cream pies and stuff. That's part of the proof that the guy even came is they have to then squeeze it back out.
That's true. You're right about anal. That's always like they present it as like kind of a hot little watch it, but it's not that hot.
No, I don't care for that part either as much, but. The thing about it is, even when I squeeze it out, gas comes out with it, air that you shove up there comes out with it, so it sounds like farts, and then it makes like bubbles in the cum, and then it takes a while for the cum to work its way out, so it could be like hours later, and I'm working out, and I've got a cum fart.
Swinging around, keeping it classy.
True. So anyway, the big news is that I am pregnant. We're past the first trimester. So today we're actually going to talk about swinging in the first trimester because it brought about some new and interesting hurdles for us.
Yeah,
and some new questions that we'd never really thought about before.
And we would like to announce that we are having a boy, so we are excited about that.
Yeah, except now I've got another penis in me all the time.
24/7.
Yeah, and they say that in utero. Little boys can not only still get hard-ons, but they can play with themselves. So I could potentially have a masturbating son in me right now.
If I have anything to say about it, you have had plenty of boners inside that belly.
If he's anything like you. And, just earlier tonight, I was looking at some pictures from Maxim. They post the galleries of the photo shoots of the different women that they take pictures of for their covers. And as I'm looking at one of the more attractive women, I got some kicks. So I think he recognizes a hot-looking woman. Yeah,
that was funny. So, yeah, we're going to roll right... This is part of the lifestyle chat. At the beginning, we're just going to roll into the topic. We want to just talk about the issues that come up with swinging and sex and pregnancy and focus primarily in the first trimester. We'll have further episodes in the future that are going to be about... not swinging so much, but sex in the second trimester and then sex in the third trimester.
Yeah, I think second and third trimester will kind of mesh together as one.
Yeah.
As we progress, unless we have huge differences between the two. Or it might be sex in the second and most of the third, and then maybe sex 2 weeks before due. Like, who knows? But
yeah, and it's kind of cool.
I think it's play it by ear how it goes for us, too.
I think it's kind of cool, even though it kind of has halted our swinging activities, our physical swinging activities at the moment because of the pregnancy. I like that, especially with the podcast, that we're going to be able to discuss and talk about raising a child in a sex positive environment, which is our goal. Yeah. And so we'll have sort of a way to, set time to talk about this all the time.
Right.
We always will talk about it, and we want to raise our child in a sex-positive environment. And
that doesn't mean we want them to know that we're swingers.
No.
We're not trying to scar our kid for life.
No, but
because I don't think that would be readily
But
acceptable.
we do want to promote age-appropriate sex positivity, and because so often children are not raised. It's surprising still how much of a closed environment and how much children just are not exposed to anything sexual. And
I don't want our kid or kids to have to find information from alternative sources. I want them to get the truth and the straight facts about sex and talia and consent and all of those things, sexuality and gender and all those things in the broad category of sexuality. I want them to learn those things the correct way and learn them from us. And they're going to pick up things from school and from TV and from friends. And I recognize that, but I'd want to be there to provide as much information and not make it so that it's an uncomfortable sex talk when the kid's 13.
Yeah, sex talks all throughout them growing up and maturing and talking about sex positive and sex appropriate age things as they grow, just as anything else.
Yeah.
One resource which has already been pretty interesting that I even was, me and you were both cued into even before we found out you were pregnant was Kendra Holliday, who
we've mentioned her on the show before.
I think we have. Yeah, she runs a blog, The Beautiful Kind. It's a fantastic blog, and she has raised her child in an incredibly sex positive environment. It's almost a little not scary, but it's almost a little bit overwhelming how much she's let her child know. It's almost like is that you're doing a little bit too far? But
well, you don't want your kid to be ostracized or to be the weird one, or to at the same time.
Because
they have to learn to have a filter.
I am in
when
awe
with their
at
friends.
how the way that when I've heard interviews with her, how well adjusted her child seems to be, and how well she seems to be handling what the information that she's been given.
She seems to be incredibly intelligent and immature.
Kendra says that she talks to her like an adult. She asks questions. She tells the truth, and that's what we want to do in an age-appropriate manner, like I keep saying. And I think I won't know until we, years down the line when we get to that point. But I almost think that maybe she pushes the boundary a little too much from what. But I don't know. Maybe it's appropriate. So
I mean, it's easy to speculate when the baby's still in utero, So it'll be interesting to listen to this even years down the line and see how much we've been able to stick to what we want to do.
Yeah. So you listeners who are in it for the long haul, we'll definitely have episodes dedicated to sex positivity, child rearing. So so let's continue on with this one.
So kind of wanted to start off just at the beginning of, oh my gosh, you find out you're pregnant, which this was a planned pregnancy for us.
Well, even before that, we had been trying for a little bit, but while we were trying, we were still continuing to go to sex parties.
That's
and
right.
We went to there was a party late 2012 that we had gone to and played around, and then...
And we're always very careful when we play.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But
and we don't full swap, so we knew that there was no full swap, no other man coming inside of me. But there's still the knowing that I'm not on birth control because we're trying to get pregnant. There's still that little bit of a, keep the cum away as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because you don't want any question about the father.
Yeah, true. And so, although I do want to back up for a second, we did make, for those of you who might be just tuning in, we have made the decision that when we get back into the swing of things, which won't be till later this year when we'll be able to get back into it, we have decided that we are going to go full swap. I just wanted to, if this was somebody's first episode and you mentioned that we're not, we haven't full swapped yet, and...
Although we've made the decision that we're going to do that.
Yeah, so mentally we're a full swap couple, but we haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So, but going back to this party, we played around. It actually was one of the first times where you were giving a blowjob and it went too well, and he actually finished in your mouth a little bit, not the full full way.
I wasn't expecting it. It was if I recall, it was this couple's first time really swinging with anybody, so he was probably hyper excited to begin with.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a particularly short blowjob, but I wouldn't say it was long either.
Yeah.
It's kind of medium style where I would have been getting ready to swap back and go back to playing with you for a little while, but and he just finished. Like I didn't expect it at all.
So maybe a week or two after this, we found out you were pregnant. And so that's also sort of learning that you're pregnant. And by the time you find out that you're pregnant, you've already been pregnant for
At least 2 weeks.
At least 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And so clearly we had been playing while you were pregnant. And that brings up a lot of issues. Like, how do we feel about that? I mean, what's done is done. But it's an interesting scenario. So that already started off where we found out, well, that happened.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
I was pregnant and we were playing.
Yeah, we were playing. So
And then that makes you start to wonder, okay, how
Yeah.
do we feel about that? How do we feel about playing with other couples outside of our marriage while pregnant? How would other couples feel about us playing with them knowing that I was pregnant? It's an interesting thought process.
Yeah, you have to think about it from all sides. I mean, the moment you find out you're pregnant, does that mean you're completely done playing?
Yeah.
Or you're completely done going to parties? And we'll talk about that. But for us, the decision was to stop playing, but not. I mean, you weren't showing yet, so
Yeah.
we continued to go to a few more parties after that.
Yeah, for me it was that I'm pregnant, but what now?
Yeah,
Because I don't look pregnant. I'm still an incredibly sexual being. You're still a sexual being. We don't want to put that part of our life on hold yet because, once the baby comes, then your whole life changes. And then you're not going to be able to have the opportunities to swing as often as you'd like to because now you have to have a babysitter. Now you have to make arrangements every time you're going out, more so than we do already. We don't work on the weekends, so it's pretty easy for us to decide to go to a swinger party last minute.
Yeah,
We're not going to have that availability, so it's like, man, I want to milk every party that I can get. And, plus we were doing the podcast, so
that's true.
You don't want to not swing.
We
you don't
hadn't
start
been-
a swinger podcast and then not swing.
We hadn't been doing
and
the
then here I get
podcast.
pregnant.
Yeah, we haven't been doing the podcast for that long, and then we learned that. So we wanted to keep going to parties. We wanted to keep having a good time, but always trying to find, well, what's the line? Are we going to go to parties and not play? Are we going to go to parties and not even play with each other in the playroom? We'll go to the parties and not dance with other people. These are all things we had to consider. Like, what is it appropriate for a pregnant couple who's we've already made the decision to continue going to parties. You're not showing. It's still the first trimester, and so those are all the decisions that you have to make. I mean, for some people, the what you might decide to do would be to completely stop everything, because there is kind of to be honest, there is kind of a little bit of a weird, not weird.
Yeah.
What is the appropriate word?
In Friends, they refer to it as the ick factor. Not in relation to swinging with baby. I forgot what it was they were referring it to. There's a Friends episode called the ick factor, and that's what I kind of apply here. Is there's just something about it
that just seems a little off,
inappropriate, and I can't figure out why. And I think it's not only from our perspective to think about, ooh, we were swinging with a baby in me, but I also think of it from the perspective of the other people, and how would they feel if they knew? Would they be kind of grossed out, like, oh, she was pregnant? Like, there's a baby in there? Because it's kind of cliche, but on a lot of sitcoms, they portray the woman's pregnant and the husband doesn't want to have sex with her because he's afraid he's, like, poking the baby with his cock. And he's afraid he's going to, like, hurt the baby. And we know scientifically that's just not the case. You can have sex all you want while you're pregnant, and it's fine. You might have to watch what position you're in, but you're not in any danger of poking the baby or doing any harm to the baby using your cock. But that's still a preconceived notion, I feel like. And if your husband feels that way, well, then how's another man going to feel?
Exactly. And so that's why for us, we thought it was the appropriate thing to not really play physically, but we thought for us dancing was okay. So we, as we've already mentioned, we wanted to stay in a sexy environment. Both of us have incredibly enjoyed going to parties, and we didn't want to stop just because we found out you were pregnant. But that does bring up the fact of what's the appropriate behavior when you go.
Yeah.
So,
and I have to admit, there's at one point I got pretty horny, and I wanted to do some kind of a swap, and so I was kind of pushing for a soft swap, and I could tell that Cal was uncomfortable with it, and so I backed off on that, and we talked about it a little bit more, and I agreed, okay, we're not going to do a soft swap, and ultimately I'm okay with that, but my horn almost got a hold of me because there's a time where I just, you get the itch to swing. You just want to do it. And the itch was taking hold of me. I wanted to do a soft swap.
And it goes back to just making it. It goes all the way back to making the decision to even go to the party. If we hadn't gone to a party, we really wouldn't have been in that situation. But we go to the party, or actually we went to a few, and the horn gets you, and then you really have to ask yourself, what is appropriate? Do I need to tell the other people that we're talking to, dancing with, that I'm pregnant if you're not showing? And
we opted not to.
Part
of that's too is, I mean, we didn't want to tell people that I was pregnant until beyond the 12-week mark, beyond the first trimester mark, just because there can always be something that can go wrong in your first trimester.
Well, yeah,
you don't want to deal with that.
You don't want to jinx yourself in terms of the pregnancy. It's weird because I don't really believe in jinxes, but then you don't want to take the chance of jinxing yourself by letting the cat out of the bag. So there's that factor that we're just not telling anybody in general that you're pregnant.
Not only that, but it's just awkward when something does happen, or if something does happen. Then you have to deal with I was pregnant, but I'm not pregnant anymore scenario, and that's just, nobody wants to deal with that.
So we always advocate honesty, but in this case, we definitely didn't. We with the exception of the first time,
we just withheld the truth.
Yeah, with the exception of the first time where we played and we didn't even know you were pregnant. Every other time that we went to a party, we danced with some people, and we both even kissed some people. We made the decision to not tell them, mostly because we knew we weren't going to play, and it wasn't really going to go beyond. I mean, even though you got horny,
we could have done
it was
the same room.
Yeah, and
I didn't show. I mean, if I was starting to look pregnant, we wouldn't have gone out. But if for some reason somebody said something about me being pregnant or asked, then I would let the cat out of the bag. But we weren't at a point where I was nervous about anybody figuring it out. I didn't start to show for, I don't know, at least a solid month after our last party, if not longer.
Yeah, exactly. And we tried to figure it out from the other couples, from another couple's perspective. Would they want to know? Would they be grossed out? Would they not want to play? And how would we feel if somebody who we were dancing with, I mean, even me, would I have a problem if I found out that just a woman I was dancing with was pregnant? And I don't know.
Yeah.
And
it's like, I think it also depends on is it first trimester? How far along is she?
I do not think I could be at a party dancing with somebody who's showing and pregnant.
No, and I've seen that. I've seen a woman who pretty distinctly looked pregnant. Maybe she wasn't. You never know sometimes. But there was one party, I don't know, I think it was in the summer this year, where there was a woman that I was kind of speculating on. She was a thinner woman, so that's why I thought if she would, I was leaning more towards pregnant than not, so.
But I think if push comes to shove, I think this is a situation where I felt comfortable not lying, but just withholding the truth from the couples that we were talking with, dancing with.
Yeah, and I think part of that's because we weren't endangering the other couple in any way. Now, if this was something that you may or may not have some kind of STI, completely different story.
Oh, yeah.
But
we're only talking about pregnancy.
This way
here.
of withholding information is in no way going to harm the other couple. By telling them, it might make them less likely or not likely to swing with us.
And we weren't going to go for, I mean, I think there was a couple times where you might have been horny enough to go for it, but I never really wanted to swap.
I really did get horny.
So I thought
I blame it on the pregnancy.
Dancing and making out was fine. I mean, that's pretty much as far as it ever went with you, was you dancing and making out. And I thought...
Yeah, I mean, the situation arose. I thought at one point we were going to have a same room opportunity, but it just didn't pan out.
Well, yeah.
We had some party sex.
Well, even then, yeah. The very last party we went to, we were in the after party, and we were fucking in front of everyone, and you were pregnant then, and
but not showing.
I had no problem with that. I had no problem being there, and I think some people, and I think it's different for everybody. I feel like for us, that was the level we were comfortable with. Some people, I could imagine, just wouldn't even like the idea of their unborn child being in this environment.
Yeah.
But for us, it's a hot, sexy environment. We're not ashamed of it, even though, we're not out in our day-to-day lives. It's not something that we're ashamed of. We enjoy getting out and dancing and having fun. I wouldn't feel like, for me, it's the same as if I'm just going to go to a normal vanilla club and go dancing.
I mean, it is still a little awkward when you think about the fact that you brought your unborn son to a swinger club.
That's true.
But it's unborn. It's
that
within. It's still like within your body. There's no conscious.
That we had public sex with unborn with an unborn child.
There's like no level of consciousness or even remote possibility that the child will have any knowledge of it. So I mean, it's not like we're going to be risking scarring our kid for life.
No, not at all. It's just a debate that I've never heard anybody talk about before. Even other swinger podcasts I've listened to. I haven't listened to everything out there, so I don't know
if I've heard anybody talk about it from what we've been exposed to. There's plenty of content that we haven't seen.
There's other content we haven't listened to every episode of everybody's podcast, and so there might have been a discussion out there, but I haven't heard it. So you're making all these things, and it comes down to fun versus deciding to stay home. And when you're that early on in the pregnancy, does it hurt to go out? Does it hurt to go out and go dancing? Does it hurt for the pregnant woman to dance with another man and to make out?
I think there was kind of another factor that was at play here, and that's the fact that we've had a miscarriage before, towards the end of the first trimester, and so with this pregnancy, I think part of it was we didn't want to even consider me to be pregnant or really be excited about it until after we were past the first trimester. So for me, even though I was pregnant and I was doing everything that I needed to be safe, taking my prenatal vitamins, not eating certain foods, not drinking alcohol, all of those things, I still didn't really consider myself pregnant yet. Like, in my head, I couldn't let myself be really pregnant until after the first trimester was over.
That's true. That plays a factor as well.
And that comes down to just having had that miscarriage first. Had we not had the miscarriage, I don't know. I think I would have been different because I think it would have been more protective of the baby a little bit. Like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. Our lives are done with the swinging for a while now. I don't think I would have been comfortable swinging in the first trimester then, because with the first pregnancy, we were so excited. I'd never been pregnant before. And it was just like, I don't know, it was just different. It was surreal. It was, I was pregnant. There was a baby in me. The second time around, it wasn't real yet. When we were swinging, it was a possibility, you could say, but for me, it still wasn't real.
I guess, and that's why, the rug could have been pulled out from at any moment. At least we felt like, just because you've already had the miscarriage, it was like, why would we not have some fun now while we...
Well, we still can.
Yeah. So...
But I don't look down on anybody who would choose not to do any kind of swinging in their first trimester.
I don't either. In fact,
I could easily see that decision being made.
Not only do I not look down upon it, I think I'm concerned that people would look down upon our decision to actually keep going.
Possible. Yeah.
Would people look down upon it? And then if you decided that you are gonna, you're not gonna completely drop out of the lifestyle, what activities are appropriate? For us, it was going to parties, dancing, making out a little bit. But it's an interesting question to ask. What is appropriate? And that's a philosophical concept that's going to be different for everybody.
And why is it inappropriate too? That's the piece that I'm struggling with.
Would it be inappropriate for you to? We've talked about we avoided full swapping. Or even soft swapping. Would it be inappropriate for you to blow somebody or to get eaten out?
Well, we both know that I was already sort of leaning towards the soft swap even while pregnant in the first trimester, but there's still kind of a level of discomfort where I might have regretted doing it, so I think it's good that we opted not to.
But why? That's the discussion, is why would we feel discomfort?
It's a complete emotional irrationality. Like, I can't come up with a logical explanation other than people would look down on it, I guess. But
also I would feel weird. Like, if I...
But why would you feel weird? That's the thing.
I'm not sure. Like,
I don't know either.
If you were to be eaten out, even more so than blowing, like blowing somebody while pregnant is a little weird as well. But for you to get eaten out, that the face is just so close. I don't know. There's just
maybe it's just
in my mind, there's like something about the other man's face is so close to
having the non-genetic father that
pussy.
Close.
Yeah,
maybe it's just having someone who's not the father that close to your unborn baby, because it's like, you don't let strangers hold your kid when your baby's born and stuff. Like, maybe it's kind of like just a protection mechanism for your child.
And there is the risk that you want to be. I think you want to be extra cautious about fluid exchange.
Yeah,
when you're,
well, I mean,
so I mean,
You
saliva.
definitely don't want to take any risks of STIs when you're pregnant.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, but
even something like chlamydia or gonorrhea, which are highly treatable when you're not pregnant, they're risky if you were pregnant.
And I mean, you always want to. In this instance, it's not just about because with swinging, there's always some risk. There's a risk that you're willing to accept, and for some individuals, that's.
We don't usually use a dental dam or a condom
Yeah,
during
a lot
oral,
of.
and so that's an accepted risk.
It's pretty common. It's pretty safe to say that in the swinger community, it's oral barriers or barriers for oral sex are not very common.
Yep, at least in our area where we've seen.
And those aren't in. There's still inherent risks when you don't use a barrier during oral sex, and so there's also that factor of introducing anything that could be a potential problem for the baby, and it's weird. Like in my like I mentioned, in my mind, I could probably be okay with. Well, I don't know. I wasn't, but if I really sat down and had and really thought about it, I could probably get over you blowing somebody while you're pregnant. I mean, I'm sure I could actually. I think I can, but just you getting eaten out, I think that is crossing a line, and then just like you said, I don't even know. It's hard to say why. I mean, there's the health reasons.
I think it's the protection thing, like just having some level of space in between your offspring and this stranger. I mean, it really is a stranger.
And
no matter how well you know people, we haven't gotten to know our swinging sexual partners well enough to call them anything but a casual acquaintance.
And I also think you really have to consider the rights of the couple you're playing with. I mean,
Yes.
How far are you willing to, even if you're comfortable, even if I was comfortable with you getting eaten out, with you blowing, would another couple be comfortable?
Yeah.
Would the couple that we're playing with be comfortable knowing that happened?
Yeah.
And I think that, and if you're not.
And we're not one night stand people so much where, like, if we play with you at a party, chances are we're going to want to hang out with you again.
Yeah.
So they can do the math and figure things out. If suddenly 4 months later you tell them you're pregnant, they can figure it out and count backwards. If you tell them how far along you are, or they know when your due date is, they'll be able to figure out if you were pregnant or not. And then are you going to offend them? Are you going to lose some friends or some good people from it?
Well, yeah, because even in the lifestyle, there might be individuals who think that it's morally wrong to do any type of swinging activity.
Or they might just be grossed out. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I played with her while she was pregnant. Like you said so yourself that you would probably be a little disgusted by it.
I would be like, that's a little,
And then you'd probably find it to be kind of rude if you were playing with them while pregnant and they didn't say anything.
Exactly, and so you don't want to be the douchebags who do the same thing to somebody else.
Yep,
Who
and
don't.
we didn't, ultimately.
And I think it comes back to, we did decide to put ourselves in swinging environments where even the individuals at these lifestyle events could think that the decision we made to even come there was not the right one.
Yeah,
so,
but and being at the party doesn't necessarily hurt someone like
No,
it
but-
would if they played with you.
No, but what I was going to say is that there could be people who look down on you just for even going.
Hell, there's people who look down on us for being swingers.
Well, yes, but what I'm trying to say though is that now I lost my train of thought a little bit, but I think part of it comes down to is that I don't really want to be judged by the people who are here because we decided to come here with you being pregnant, and I would feel that I feel that if the play got far enough along that it got further than just kissing, we would need to. I would feel obligated to tell them that you're pregnant. But then it circles back to I don't want to have them look down or say that was the wrong decision to even come. So then it's just I'll stay silent, and if you stay silent, then
you opt not to play.
Then you opt not to play, exactly. So that's what I was trying to say.
That way they can't be grossed out or anything. Because I think, I agree with you. Because I think if they look back and say, well, we saw them at the party, but we didn't play with them, and she was pregnant. Oh, maybe that's why we didn't play with them. Even if they don't agree with us having been at the party, I don't think it gives them reason to be angry at us because we didn't play with them. We didn't mislead them into a sexual atmosphere, into doing something that they'd be uncomfortable with.
Exactly.
I think that's what it comes down to, is misleading someone into doing something that they might be uncomfortable with. That's wrong.
And I mean, we already mentioned that we had a little bit of that ourselves. It'd be us when we played and swapped before we knew you were pregnant, but
Yeah.
you were pregnant.
We
and so,
didn't even know. I mean, I was literally like,
No, but there was-
we had to have just conceived.
But there was some of that
within a week before, or
No,
2
I
weeks
think it was like
before.
2 weeks. But there was still some of that. There was still some of the
Yeah.
odd sort of little ick factor with that. So
Yeah.
then, and that was us. So I mean, apply that to somebody who we're playing with, and they find out,
Mhm.
or even people can do the math. If you play with them now, and then they see you at a party later. And I guess if you opt to tell them you're pregnant, because I mean, if we don't go, if nobody sees us until later in the fall,
Yeah, and then all of a
and-
sudden we have a baby.
yeah,
Like-
but they wouldn't know we had a baby unless we told them. But let's say we did tell them, and they did the math. Well, wait a second. About 6 months ago or 5 months ago, or we played with them, and they do the math, and then they could be, have a problem with it way down the line, even when it's not it. So that was.
So I think we made the right decision, and even though we didn't tell people that we were hanging out with that I was pregnant, we didn't play with any of them either, so we didn't really introduce them into an uncomfortable sexual situation.
Well, we made the right decision for us. So
For us, yeah.
For other people, I think.
Other people could still have been
I don't-
uncomfortable with just us having
Yeah,
been
I mean,
there. But
do I think it's wrong if a pregnant couple plays and swaps with a non-pregnant couple, as long as I think that there's honesty and that they tell them they're pregnant, I don't think I have a problem with that. It's not the decision that we made to go beyond. I mean, I was fine with you making out and that happened, and I was fine with that, but
yeah, I guess what it comes down to is it's your prerogative if you still want to be sexual and swing with other couples, but be honest about it.
Mhm.
Because the couple that you're swinging with needs to have the opportunity to decide if they're comfortable with it and say yay or nay.
And
that's the piece that you don't want to be dishonest about.
you really gotta figure out what's right for you, as we keep saying, because some people might think if we thought it was perfectly fine to do some dancing, some kissing, some making out without telling them. Some people might think that's inappropriate, and you just got to do what feels right to you. Although I think any type of once it gets to be beyond kissing, anything
there's
that
no
gets to be-
genitalia
any-
touching.
anything that gets to be pretty sexual, I pretty much have to advocate that you tell the couple. I think, but before that, I think it's personal prerogative. If for you don't think you should do anything but just stick with your partner and no swapping, no dancing, no kissing, then that's up to you. And then everybody's gonna do it differently, but it's just interesting being in this scenario because it's not a scenario you've ever seen in this. I mean, you see every other situation on the face of the earth on a sitcom.
Yep.
Swinging
Related to pregnancy, but not
swinging issues while pregnant is not something you've ever seen on a sitcom. I guarantee it.
And I had to tell you, I'm thankful that in the first trimester you can't feel the baby moving around, because that really would have put a stop to things. If I could physically feel him in there, well, and what makes me say that is I can feel him moving around now as we're having this podcast.
Oh, while we were recording, you felt something?
Yeah. So I'm cognitively aware, he's in there.
So let's get away from the morals and the judgments that can come from, and just talk about the practicality about being at a swinger party while pregnant. So we didn't want to just
in the first trimester.
Yeah, in the first trimester.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit,
we didn't want to flaunt that you were pregnant.
My sex drive in the first trimester didn't decrease at all. If anything, it increased while I was in my first trimester. So my sex drive was there. I wanted to fuck. And I mean, obviously, that you can tell that just by the fact that I was kind of willing to do a soft swap, even though it probably wasn't the best decision for us based on our comfort level.
But what I was getting to is that there was even a little bit of planning ahead of time, the way to think about that. You didn't want to let everybody know at the party that we might be talking to that you were pregnant.
Yeah.
And we're always drinking. We're drinking beer. We're drinking cocktails, whatever. So
and we have a regular group of friends that we spend time with that we see at parties.
So we had to plan ahead, and you had to make sure that the way that you wanted to appear just like normal was just to have the cup, the red or green
solo cup.
Yeah, the green, beer pong cup. And it would just fill with pop, and nobody ever knew. Nobody questioned it.
Well, I didn't want to have to answer the question of why aren't you drinking, because I regularly drink at parties. So to have to answer that would be more of a lie than to fake drinking in the first place. No, I didn't fake being drunk. I mean, I draw the line there. I just had my cup in my hand and drank as I needed to.
Exactly, but nobody was any the wiser. Everybody, you don't look out of place because people have those, especially at the BYOB parties. People will have those cups anyways.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting into the tips for pregnant women at swinger parties. So if you want to look like you're drinking, have a
cup at the ready.
cup.
Yeah, and I don't think I ever really mixed my drink in front of anybody. I think I would wait till there weren't people at the table or whatever, and then just pour my can of Coke or whatever it was I was drinking into my glass.
Yeah, that way they didn't see that you didn't mix anything.
Looking, yeah.
Yeah, they could see like, oh, your glass is empty, then all you do is pour Coke in it.
Yeah, one of the other things is that you and I tend to start the night off with a shot, and we like to do that with other people. So sometimes we'll invite another couple or two couples back to the room, and we'll do a shot together just as a to the night, and we'll have a little cheers and do the shot. And in this case, I just said I don't want to get drunk too fast. It's too early in the night, or I said something to the effect of I've already had a few. I don't want the shot to get to my head too quick or whatever. So I did a shot of pop, and that worked out pretty well. So we were able to fake not really fake the drinking, but to just get around the drinking aspect of it pretty well.
Yeah,
and that worked out.
Because that is, I mean, it sounds dumb, but that is an issue where if you are at a party and you won't want to look out of place, or you don't want to, you don't want to let anybody know that the cat's out of the bag that you're pregnant yet.
Yep.
I mean, that's something to think about. Is what do I'm always usually drinking. What am I going to do now?
And in terms of an outfit, I mean, I think I'd put on maybe a couple of pounds, but I hadn't really started to show, and my swinger clothes still fit. I tend to dress like a classier, sexy swinger as opposed to a sluttier, sexy swinger. So I was perfectly comfortable in my sexy outfit. Some women might want to tone it down if they're uncomfortable with being pregnant and showing too much skin. I don't know, but I was comfortable in whatever it is
you weren't even
wearing.
showing yet.
No, not at all.
Even like the last party we went to, you weren't even showing. So
I mean, I was still doing regular workouts and stuff too.
Well, you still are
without low impact moves, but
yeah,
I'm still regularly exercising, but I hadn't really modified much about my lifestyle. And aside from the occasional pregnancy sickness that I would get when I got hungry, I didn't really have too many pregnancy symptoms either. So that kind of contributed.
So is there any other just practical aspects of
I don't know. I think
swinging parties.
I think that was pretty much it because in the first trimester, you're not limited as to what positions you can be in. You can still be on your back. You can still be on your side. You can still do doggy. There's no belly to really get in the way.
Yeah, and
we'll talk about those other things when it comes to second and third trimester.
Yeah. Then the next few episodes that we do, which we're not there yet, so we're not gonna do them. But in the future, we'll do after it's over, we'll do swinging in the second trimester and swinging in the third. And as you mentioned,
and then we'll probably do a swinging once my pussy returns to normal.
Actually, I take that back. It won't even really be. Those episodes are not going to be swinging in the second trimester.
It's going to be sex.
They're going to be sex in the second trimester, sex in the third trimester. It's not going to, and the issues that come up with that.
Yep.
And if we don't have enough, it might be sex in the second
with the
and
blown
third
out
trimester.
pussy.
And it'll be, and then we'll have episodes about getting back into it later in the fall, and then swinging.
Right now we're experimenting with fisting.
We'll talk about that. So yeah, it's exciting. It's kind of put things on hold a little bit right now, but it's exciting because it brings up. At least in terms of the show, it'll bring up a lot of interesting episodes because we'll be able to discuss with the listeners. We'll be able to talk about our journey as swinger and swinger parents and the things we have to deal with, and being the people who it's happened to us, we have to cancel because your kids are an issue. We haven't, and we're always a little disappointed, but we're those people, or we will.
I mean, I look forward to the new topics. It's just as we continue to grow and be swingers and be adults, and it's weird because we're young, but we've already progressed from the not sure about swinging through the soft swap, and now we've talked ourselves to the point where we're ready to do a full swap.
Exactly.
So this is just the next phase.
And that's happened throughout the show, too. We, at the start of the show, I think it was even partly discussing things on the show where we're like, well, I think we are ready for full swap. So we're excited for things to come in the years to come that we're going to have topics to talk about for a long time. I mean, it'll turn into, sex-positive parenting, and, I mean, we'll be on the front lines. We'll be able to bring back and share our experiences and discuss with the listeners. So So it's cool. I think it gives us a unique perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That
And it forces us to keep communicating about new and exciting and different topics that we may or may not have, delved into otherwise.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have given swinging while pregnancy a second thought until we crossed that line, and then I was like, oh shit, well, I'm pregnant, now what?
Yeah. I mean, we had started this podcast, and it's like, well, shit.
Yeah, what are we gonna do now?
So, but don't worry, we have topics planned.
Oh, we've got plenty of swinging topics too. So don't worry, those of you who are swingers and you want a swinger podcast.
You might not.
Our lifestyle portion of it, we might not be able to share too much of personal, recent stories with you, but we've got a lot of swinger topics still to come. Like solid swinger topics to talk about. It's not all going to be mushy parenting and whatnot. This is a swing show, and we're going to talk about swinging still. So no worries there. And I know we're going to talk about this at the end because I always do. But if you have any questions about first trimester, even second or third, or any pregnancy and swinging questions, or anytime you have questions about the topic, just write us in because we'd love to answer your questions, either respond back via email or answer your questions on the show.
Yeah, definitely. We'd like to hear any questions that you might have for us, or also we would love
share your experiences.
I know for a fact. I mean, we think, we say this a unique perspective, and I say that just because I haven't heard podcasts that have directly dealt with parents raising their own children. I know that there's other podcasts and the hosts have children, but it's not a topic that's usually the focus of shows for them personally.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of swingers tend to get into it after they've already had their kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the primary age is usually in the late 30s, early 40s.
But I know that we're not unique in that couples have to figure out these swinging decisions for themselves later.
Yeah.
And so we would love to hear, how you and your spouse dealt with. You're already in the swinging lifestyle, and then you have a child, and
maybe you disagree with our decisions. We'd love to hear that too.
Yeah, we would just like to have a good discourse with all of you. So I think with that,
it's time to move on.
Marry, Boff, kill. Beyonce, Paula Abdul, and Oprah.
Dude, that's beyond easy. Boff Beyonce, kill Paula, marry Oprah.
This episode, we're going to do a new little segment that we call Marry, Fuck, Blow. So it's just a little play on the game that you've all probably played before, Marry, Fuck, Kill, but we didn't like the kill aspect of it, so we decided to make it blow. So Cal will present 3 options to me, and I have to, pick which ones I would do, and I'll give him his 3 options, and we'll kind of have some fun with it.
Indeed. So you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
So
it's marry,
fuck, blow, and blow is oral sex, obviously. For you, it would be marry, fuck, eat out, or rim job, or whatever you want to do down there, I suppose. So your 3 options are Jennifer Lawrence, who, if you remember, was on your celebrity gangbang list from a few episodes ago.
Indeed, she was.
Then I've also thrown in the mix Kate Upton, who was she's the cover girl model for the new Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
Yes. Yep.
She's pretty hot. I think we talked about her last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third option, I'm throwing a little something different in there, Heidi Klum. So, supermodel Victoria's Secret extraordinaire. She also happens to have a few kids of her own, but I think she still looks good for her age, whatever that may be. I don't know how old she is, but I think she's pretty hot. I watch Project Runway, so I see her in heels all the time.
Yeah, she's on TV here at the house all the time because of Project Runway.
So, Mary Fuck Blow, Jennifer Lawrence, Kate Upton, and Heidi Klum. What's
interesting is the criteria. Like, Mary is clearly the one you want to spend the rest of your life with, or that you find that you want to be involved with more romantically. But it's, how do you decide what's the difference between fucking and blowing, or for me, eating out, or...
I don't know. For me, I think I would choose the one that would be crazier as the fuck. Or the one that might have the better puss, or better tasting. I don't know. Like,
no, I know. That's why I'm trying to think. I think I'd probably, for me, the decision would be, and again, it's like, is it marry, fuck, blow? Is it blow as in I'm providing them pleasure, so I'm eating them out, or they're just providing me pleasure? Like, who would I want to get a blowjob from?
I would say,
and I think it's the decision.
You can make that decision.
Yeah,
we'll leave that open to interpretation.
So I think it's easy that I'd.
I wish I'd thrown a man in the mix.
Well, that's always probably going to be. It's
that
always
one will be the blow.
that one will always be blow. I'll just let
Yeah,
I'll
that's
let
true.
and it would be them blowing me. So that
Yeah.
anytime you throw in a man, I guarantee. Now unless you threw in,
I guess it's not so interesting now that I've said that. Now, if I put 2 men in the mix, then it could get interesting.
then it gets interesting. So
But-
we'll have to see what I do.
I'm happy with the 3 women for now.
So I think I've already made my decisions. Mary would be Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay.
I think she just kind of comes across as a sweet girl who would probably make a pretty good wife, I guess.
It seems like she has a good sense of humor, flicking
Yeah.
off the cameras after winning an Oscar.
I didn't see that.
It was all over the news the next day that she flicked off the cameras, and then the following day they reported, oh, by the way, this was all in good fun. She wasn't being a bitch. But at first they showed it off as like Jennifer Lawrence flicks off the cameras moments after winning an Oscar.
Oh, I didn't see that.
But then so they made it all controversial, but then it was just in good fun, like she was joking.
No, yeah, I didn't see that. But she seems pretty sweet. Somebody who would be cool. I mean, as much as I can glean
Yeah,
from
I mean, you never really know.
from interviews and stuff. But she seems like the one that I'd marry. Heidi Klum can blow me because I don't know why I feel like I get the sense I have nothing to base this on. I mean, I see Project Runway when you have it on, but I feel like she's hot and she knows it, and she's just gonna
be boring.
She's gonna be boring, so I'm gonna make her do the work. She's gonna blow me.
That's good rationale. I could see you pulling her hair and doing a little bit of a face fuck with that.
So Heidi Klum is. And it'll be interesting when we do these, as we do. We're not going to do this segment every show, but it'll be interesting when I make the decision, or you too, that whether or not you're going to pleasure them or they're going to pleasure you.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, Heidi Klum, is going to blow me, and then I'm definitely going to fuck Kate Upton.
I presume that that's at least for a portion of the time going to be a titty fuck, and maybe a little anal. I could see you going for that, but at a minimum, there's got to be a titty fuck because her tits are big and voluptuous, and it's like they're asking for a good motorboat.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, a titty fuck is fun, but I find it's fun for like 10 seconds.
Well, partially because you titty fuck me, and I have like the smallest tits ever. So
no,
if you were
give yourself some credit. Those are
second smallest, but
give yourself some credit. Those are solid B's because people in.
Well, I'm pregnant now, so
yeah, they're even bigger. But people listening don't give them the impression that they're non-existent.
They exist. They do.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll do some kind of video cast or something so people can see what we look like. Maybe we'll do a from the neck down cast.
Yeah, we can. We'll get to that later, but we are on YouTube now. But we'll get to that at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll mention that since you brought up video stuff. So those are my 3. So for you, I went a more interesting route.
Okay. That means you threw some women in the mix.
No. I
Okay.
just went for. We've been watching a lot of Everybody Loves Raymond on Netflix. We've been watching a lot of catching up on Everybody Loves Raymond.
I was nice. I gave you 3 attractive women.
I didn't go the grandpa, the dad on the show.
Oh god.
So,
okay.
All right. So
no Peter Boyle.
So your Mary fuck blow is Ray Romano. Who plays Ray. Kevin,
is this Ray Romano like we're on season 2 right now? So is this young Ray
whenever
Romano
you
or
want.
is this current Ray Romano?
It's whenever you want.
'Cause I'd rather go younger.
Well, just whenever you want.
Okay.
So Ray Romano, Kevin James,
Okay.
who you'd know from King of Queens, but he's
little chubby, but there's still something attractive.
But we've been
about him.
seeing him. He pops up quite a bit in the early seasons of Everybody Loves Ray, and then Brad Garrett, who's the tall brother.
Oh, you
on
make
the
this
show.
tough.
So
this is not an easy one. Okay.
Mary fuck blow. Brad Garrett has the deepest voice ever. So
yeah, he does. All right, so I'm gonna have to take the first one is gonna be the Mary, and I feel like that's the one that's gotta be Kevin James, because I think of the 3, he's the one that's got the personality that I could deal with the most. He's funny. There's something endearing about him, and something. I mean, he's got. Have you seen his wife? She's like a fucking supermodel. She's hot. So there's something about.
Yeah, we Googled him a little while ago, and he does have a fucking
hot wife. Yeah. So that to me says there's something special about him. So I'll marry him.
Oh, using some inside knowledge that you have about his real life, that if she's with him, there's got to be something
There's
to
got to
him.
be something, yeah, because she's hot. And I think she's Asian, too, isn't she? She's a hot Asian, isn't she?
I completely forget. I know
she's
we looked her up.
She's not like your typical American girl. Maybe she's something ethnic, I think. Okay, so that leaves me with Brad Garrett and Ray Romano. Ooh, this is a tough one. I would say Brad Garrett can fuck me from behind. Because, I don't know, he's got such a deep voice and he's a tall guy. I feel like he's got to be well endowed, but I don't like the look of his face. So I would do the fuck,
doggy style.
but it's got to be doggy style, so I don't have to look at him. And then that leaves Ray Romano for the oral, and he can eat me out. He's got that giant nose, so I feel like that would, I mean, as weird as it is, when you eat a woman out, if your tongue is down in the puss, it's typically your nose that's hitting the clit. Like, whether you mean to or not, like, the nose can help rub the clit. And
so he has a schnoz that'll
and
get you
he's
off.
got a schnoz, so that might help get me off. So I'll go with...
You're going the lazy route for both sides. You're getting fucked from behind. You're just sitting...
Come on, look at who you gave me.
You're just sitting there, ass up in the air, and then
I'll
you're getting
blow
eaten
Kevin
out.
James. I'm married to him.
Well,
I'll blow him.
well,
You
that's
asked me for a blowjob yesterday, and I just gave you one. Like, okay, you want a blowjob? All right.
Indeed, it was awesome.
I know. Today you were feeling horny. I wasn't ready for sex yet, so I just gave you a handy. Whatever. I'll do that for Kevin.
I like this Mary Fuck Blow. It was a late edition. We were gonna do another. We thought about doing another threesome segment.
Yeah, another celebrity gangbang.
But I think
this is more fun.
This is more fun. It's more interesting because you have to decide, who you're gonna marry, fucking blow, and then you also decide who's in the blow. Is it gonna be you doing the pleasure, them giving you pleasure, and then like I like hearing your rationale. I think you probably like hearing mine. So I like this segment. This segment might be more often than we initially planned. It won't be every episode.
Yeah.
But
that's a fun one because we can come up with some crazy celebrity trios to mix and match.
Yeah, and you gave me just all hot women today, and I gave you all comedians.
Yes, you did.
So
okay,
we'll have to switch it up, do different combinations. So.
Yep. So now let's move on for a little sexy news.
All the American troops pulling out help the situation?
Oh, no. So if you think you want the money shot of them with their arms in the air, you're going to get it. It's in both of their self-interest right now.
Just say the money shot.
Yeah. The money shot, yeah.
And Belinda, I just can't understand how something so small can be so impressive.
Well, Mark, you would know about that.
All right, so this is our segment where we talk about sex in the news, and it's usually the less known, the less trafficked articles that I come across about sex in the news. Because there's always sex scandals that are going on, mainstream stuff. So I try to pick out some of the more interesting, smaller scale stuff that I happen to see. So the first one is that the late 90s phenomenon, Girls Gone Wild, they are filing for bankruptcy.
I heard that. Yeah. That's interesting. Money mismanaged or what?
No, well, the story is, I guess, Joe Francis is the CEO of Girls Gone Wild, whatever, the Girls Gone Wild Corporation or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're...
I presume if you're listening to this podcast, you've heard of Girls Gone Wild, but it's basically it's like some of the first reality shows, really, where they would take cameras to popular spring break areas and videotape girls flashing the camera. Yeah, essentially exactly what it says, like Girls Gone Wild, trying to get to college girls in college towns. So it's always a thing you'd hear, oh, Girls Gone Wild's, going to be at this bar at whatever night if you're in a college town. So the story is, I guess, that Joe Francis, the CEO, racked up a huge debt with the Wynn Casino in Las Vegas. And that's a newer casino too, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I think it's...
I don't know.
Well, we were there in 2008, and it was there then. I don't think it's so. But he racked up a big debt with them, and he never paid it. I don't know how he got around not paying it or the controversy behind why he doesn't think he owes it to him. But they're coming after his money, and so to just lessen the assets that he has from the company, he's filing bankruptcy.
Oh, man. Just
so that they have less to take from him.
I figured he was getting sued by somebody he didn't get consent from or something, but
no,
I guess not.
No, but that sucks though if you let your gambling get in the way of your company. Like you're filing for bankruptcy because really, you don't want to have to pay.
With the internet porn these days, that company's obsolete now anyway.
True. True, but you still get
in the 90s, it was huge. You didn't have the porn like you do now, but now you can find teenage girls going wild all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, they were probably still doing pretty well just because
maybe
they're
overseas.
probably incredibly cheap to produce. I mean, you show up at you let word. I mean, especially with social media.
You let word get out. You make everybody sign consent at the door.
With social media these days, you get it out on Twitter. Hey, we're going to be at this bar. Then you go. You film some stuff. Who do
you sell it to? With free porn, I imagine you got to sell it overseas.
No,
places
I think
where
you can still sell it.
Internet porn.
I mean, at the sex shops. I mean, we still go to the sex shops, and there's still porn being sold. I mean, people buy this stuff.
Yeah, they do. People, yeah, you're right. They do. Okay.
So
dial up. If you have dial up, you got to find porn elsewhere.
So the second article that I saw is that Iceland is trying to block all internet porn.
Ooh.
All of it.
Well,
and
I know where we will not be vacationing.
And that includes, they already have it where strip clubs aren't legal right now, printed porn isn't legal, but the laws just haven't kept up with internet porn.
I didn't realize they were so conservative. Now, I knew places like China have really, really strict internet laws and restrictions, and of course porn's not legal there, but I don't know. For some reason, I would have thought anywhere in the Eastern European area would have been isn't as conservative.
Well, I mean, that's always what you hear. I mean, you always hear how Europe is much more open. I think that is the case. I mean, we've been to Greece, and that was.
But Iceland's an island. I mean, it's not mainland Europe. It's out there. So.
And what's interesting is it when you're clearly an adult, they want to block it because it's not just danger to children potentially seeing it. Because let's face it, it's easy to go to pickhunter.com or cliphunter.com.
Yeah,
and
they ask you, "Are you 18?" You say yes, and you're
no,
in.
They don't even ask. No,
yeah, you're right. YouPorn doesn't.
A lot of the streaming porn sites don't ask. You just go and you can start looking. So
parents, man, we got to remember that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to. We'll have episodes on like how our lifestyle will have to. Right now you walk into our house and we.
Although I don't know if I want to block those kinds of sites either, because again, that comes back to having the open. You don't want to make anything taboo. So
not sidetracking too far, but I think once they get to be. I mean, of course, this could all change when they actually are this age, but I think until. And we're having a boy, we already know that. So until he's 11 or 12, I probably don't think that the hardcore porn is appropriate.
Yeah,
for
I agree.
Younger than 11 or 12.
So I think it's more blocking it so it doesn't come up automatically.
And even then, 11 or 12 is young, but they're going to see it.
They're going
to see it, so I don't know if it's...
Hey, if they're anything like you, they're going to be masturbating.
So I don't know if it's worthwhile to block it then. But I mean, there's still extreme stuff that you don't want them to see.
Yeah, well, we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah, I mean, well, if we're... knock on wood, we're still doing the show. We can talk about it then. So, but going back to when you're clearly an adult, they want to still block it because they want to make purchasing porn through pay sites using your credit card as being illegal. I mean, I guess that goes along. I mean, clearly, if they want to block all porn, that's included. But if you're paying with a credit card, you are a valid individual, unless you stole it or you stole your parents' credit card. You're a valid individual who's of age, who has a credit card.
You can be 16 and have a credit card in the U.S., but you have to have a cosigner. But I had a credit card at 16.
Well, I guess. I mean, I forgot that you could be 18 or.
But I mean,
16.
they could just change their credit card laws or something. I don't know. I guess I take for granted just being an American citizen and the freedoms that we have and the civil liberties that we have that you don't necessarily have other places. So it makes me proud to be an American.
I mean, I don't know what I would do without internet porn.
You'd buy a lot more porn.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just so intrusive, so invasive of the government to do that because
I agree.
I understand if they take extreme measures to try to block children from seeing porn. I might not even agree with that. Because it also limits, adults, the ease of adults getting to porn. But you don't want children to have, I don't know, especially with a child on the way, the ease of seeing porn in the United States is kind of ridiculous that it's so easy. And I mean, as an adult who...
You want to protect your child's innocence. I understand that.
As an adult who hasn't had children through this point, I love that it's so easy to look at any of the free porn that I want. But, so I get trying to put in laws, but even... did
the article say what their rationale was? I mean, are they
protecting children. And
it was protecting children? Because I was thinking maybe they were just anti-porn in general. I mean, China's just anti-porn.
Well, I mean, clearly they are, but the way that they rationalize it to their citizens and to the news outlets is that it's for the children. But I mean, you can't be underage and go to a strip club, or at least you shouldn't be able to. And they have outlawed strip clubs. And
You'd think there would just be a better way to keep children from getting into porn.
It's just more of government putting their moral values on their citizens.
Yep.
So I think I had a few more articles, but I think we're gonna leave those for another time.
Sounds good to me.
So
with that, we'll wrap up and say thanks for listening to Swingin' Around. Like we said earlier in the show, you can email us. We'd love to hear from you. Questions, comments, concerns, anything, pictures, whatever you've got, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us at swinginaround@gmail.com. No G at the end of swingin'. Cal's also starting to upload the audio portions of our podcast to iTunes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Not to iTunes, to YouTube.
Yeah. I mentioned that
they're not video podcasts. They're still strictly audio. But if for some reason you wanted to reach them through YouTube, we're going to start adding the episodes there.
Yeah, our first episode is up right now, and it's just another avenue for you to get the show out there and get the reach out there. So right now, the first episode is up, and I'm in the process of putting the rest of them up, and we have some ideas of some video content that we want to get up as well, maybe some sex toy reviews, but we have to figure out, we have to navigate, figure out what we want to do, because right now, I mean, we aren't out in general, so we want to keep
some anonymity.
We'll have to figure out how we traverse that and how we go about doing that, but we think YouTube has such a wide reach that it's crazy to not get ourselves on there somehow. So let everybody know that they will be able to check out Swingin' Around on YouTube if they want to.
We're just trying to broaden our listener base as much as we can. So you can help us do that by rating us on iTunes and leave some feedback too.
Yeah,
we can also do that on Stitcher.
We've gotten some great feedback on iTunes, and keep those reviews coming and keep the ratings coming. We love to hear feedback, and
positive or negative. We just rate us, let us know how we're doing.
And I wanted to say thank you to all of those who, I know that we've been getting a lot of referrals from other swinging podcasts, specifically Swap Foo has been really positive. So I'd like to, because there aren't a lot of swinger podcasts, and there's starting to be more and more. And so as much as we can help each other out, that's like we've benefited from it. So we want to thank those of you who are getting the word out, who are enjoying the show.
Check out Swap Foo.
Yeah.
Great podcast.
I think it's I was just on the blog earlier. They have a really good blog. They blog more than we do. And
can you say that we blog? I mean, we don't really blog.
I posted the blog about putting us up on YouTube earlier today.
Yeah.
And then check out Swap Foo. He tweets a lot. So check out them. And I think with that'll do it.
Yeah.
So all right, everybody, stay sexy and stay swinging.